Gentlemen, I'm at 20%. I got to make this a quick one. Okay. I hope everyone's doing well. I just wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about a situation, or I don't even want to say situation. I honestly think it's a misconception that a lot of guys and men overall, just people actually, are struggling with, right? And the topic, and it's on the topic of identity and your mindset. And so many people might just click off right now saying, "Oh, bro, I'm disciplined. I have motivation. I go to the gym. I go to work and I come home." That's great, bro. That's like the tip of the iceberg, right? And I don't know. I really do want to cut this short, but I have so much value to drop, right? That's the reason I love long form, as opposed to short form. But okay, getting into things, right? The first thing everyone has to understand the premise around any manifestation advice, anything related to spirituality, paradigm shifting, whatever. You have to see the unseen before the tangibility aspect actually comes into play. If you wanted to click off right now and take one piece of advice from me, that's it. There's nothing else that's going to make a difference if you don't have that core concept down. And with that being said, so many people neglect this because so many people think in order for the physical to change or the social, your financials, whatever, right? Whatever aspect that you want to change, they think you just have to do a couple of actions, or for that matter, do whatever action it takes to get that thing. But the key component they're missing at the forefront of that equation is your identity, your mindset. People don't realize for you to take that action, and this is just even more game I'm spilling on here. Did action, a synonym for action is desires, right? Those two are very interchangeable, and I'll explain why. Your desires, for example, right? Like when before I used to make content, before I started running a business to help other men, I was the person who just did mediocre shit, right? I got decent grades. I wasn't a complete fuck up, right? I played sports. I had a shitty physique, right? Like, I'm not going to lie. I was comfortable, right? I just did what was told of me and the bare minimum because I was like, why would I do anything else? My life to me was amazing. I still had a roof over my head. I still got whatever I wanted. I still had a family to provide for me. So it's like, why not just take advantage of this in a bad way and be mediocre, do whatever I want? And the only reason those things happened in the first place was because my desire was to be in a state of comfort. My desire was to rely on other people, whether I realized it or not. That was the truth of the matter, right? I realized it, of course, a couple of years down the line, but I still realized it, and that was the fact. I was comfortable with playing video games. I was comfortable with eating whatever my mom made, right? I thank her for that. I'm not saying I don't. I'm not saying I don't appreciate the things that happened to me. No, not by any means. But what I am saying is I was in that state of comfort, right? That was my desire. But now that you understand actions and desires are basically two interchangeable words, guess what? The forefront of that equation, or the equal, is your desires are a direct reflection of your identity, or your identity equals your desires. And I didn't realize this until later down the line. My identity was one that was rooted in mediocrity, right? One that was rooted in someone who just wanted everything handed to them, spoon fed to them without actually doing any work. And guess what my desire became? Like I mentioned, it became comfort. That was the one thing I was seeking in any aspect of my life. I didn't want to get uncomfortable. I got to a stage, bro, where it was just like I had acne, I was balding, my digestion was in the gutter. All these things happened to me in my teenage years, right? And it got to a point where I didn't even want to go outside. I was looking in the mirror for not 10 to 20 minutes, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes every single day looking for new pimples on my face because I was so disappointed in how my skin turned out that I would put sulfur cream. I would, just say, fuck it, bro. Like, I'm going to skip school because my skin got so bad. But guess why that happened? I was comfortable and I was in the place of mediocrity. I never did anything substantial to change my skin, right? But I didn't realize any of this. So I pointed the finger at everything but myself, but my brain, but my identity, right? I thought, look, I have acne. There has to be an external solution to solve this. I went to the cleansers, the serums, all this shit, everything but the root cause. And even when I thought I found the root cause, I talked about this in my recent reel. If you follow me on Instagram, I thought it was my gut health. And yeah, that was what, no, I won't lie, that was the root cause. But guess what? Why was my gut health bad? Because my identity was rooted in mediocrity. My identity was rooted in eating my mom's food. So of course I'm going to have bad gut health. But do you see how everything stems from up here? And I can give countless examples. That's just one. But what I'm trying to explain to you is nothing changes if nothing changes. And again, sorry, I got cut off. I got a low power notification. As I was saying, Nothing changes if nothing changes. People don't realize this for like I don't know how many times I've been repeating this. Your mindset, whether, again, not your mindset, your ambition, standards, goals, your achievements of what you want to bring out of this life, right? It all stems from your mindset, whether you want to make 10K a month, supply for your family, take your mom on a vacation whenever you want. I don't know, have a dream job, whatever, right? You get the point. If your mindset is rooted in scarcity, if your mindset is rooted in, what if I don't get the job? If your mindset is rooted in, oh my God, I've tried everything and I still haven't got the six pack. Brother, I hate to break it to you, but that's going to remain for the rest of your life. It's going to be this downhill spiral until you catch yourself and change your way of thinking. No nutrition plan, and even in my one-to-one coaching with guys, I tell them all the time, you shouldn't have came to me if you were looking simply for the fact of nutrition training, custom protocols related to your health, whether it's balding, ulcers, gut health, whatever, right? I'm just giving you examples of guys I'm helping right now. Of course, I have optimizations to help them get to their goals that much faster, to improve their overall well-being. Don't get me wrong. But you could have done a lot of these things on ChatGPT if you just gave it a good prompt, on Claude if you just gave it a good prompt. The reason they came to me is because they realized they didn't have structure, they didn't have a plan, and they didn't have implementation. But say it with me, all three of those things stem from your identity. Those people, before coming to me, guess what? They went through all the trial and error and hassle that their old selves would have loved. Their old selves would have loved to waste time, to not see value in investing into someone who went through their exact situation. But once they flipped the switch, once they realized their higher self would invest and save time, because that's the one thing we don't get back, everything started to change, right? But it was an identity shift. If they didn't make that identity shift in the beginning before coming to me, would it really make that big of a difference? And that's exactly what we improve on. We improve on things like a scarcity mindset. We improve on things of getting you towards your goals, ambitions, desires, your physical health, whether your physical, mental, social, and spiritual health. But bro, it all stems from you. If you don't catch that soon enough, it's never gonna work. Like, you have to realize life is a reflection. Reality is a reflection of your thoughts. The more negative and the more you think lower of yourself, you think you can't do it, it's never going to happen. And we can even go into a scientific, like, it's a whole different topic. But if we talk from a pure scientific perspective, guess what? Your testosterone production, right? There's something called luteinizing hormone. That is a direct production. The only reason that even turns on is if you think you're a high testosterone guy, if you take risks, if you put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Because people don't realize the brain is at the forefront of any other bodily process that happens, right? It's a control center. Your hypothalamus is the literal command center of different hormone productions, balances, bodily processes, whatever, right? I'm not going to get into all of that, but this controls it. And what do you think goes on in here? Your thoughts, your identity, the way you look at life. It all stems from you. Again, your mindset, for the 10th fucking time. Nothing is going to change if your identity is rooted in your old self. If you are constantly operating like the old version of yourself, you're going to get the same results. You can do whatever action you want. You can invest into the best coach, the best mentor, get the highest quality nutrition, grass-fed meats. That's another thing. So many people love to spend money on getting like high quality organic groceries without realizing they're constantly stressed. They have immense amount of negative thinking, right? They don't even know if investing into these groceries is going to get them to where they want to be. Do you think any fucking grass-fed, pasture-raised, corn and soy-free eggs is going to get you healthy? Is going to lower your inflammation? Is going to get you shredded? No, bro, because you don't even believe in it. So before you spend money on external things, realize your intrinsic value. Your intrinsic value is the only thing that's worthy. Would you still continue these actions you're taking if you knew the reward got stripped from you? That's a whole different thing about discipline. So many people are only fucking disciplined because they see an external reward. If I took that external reward away from them, they wouldn't continue it because they don't have an intrinsic why of why they started in the first place. And that why is your identity, right? Bro, this is like, I don't know how much simpler I can explain it. You can watch any video you want on manifestation, on paradigm shifting, on getting whatever you want, the law of attraction, the law of detachment, whatever. But guess what? It all stems back to one fucking thing. Seeing the unseen before you see it. That's the core fundamental concept of everything. And how does that work? Sitting with yourself, writing your heaven and hell, writing, journaling, doing whatever you need to do. And I think the most important exercise I just mentioned was writing your heaven and hell, because that, writing everything you've desired and everything you can envision yourself happening, and don't let anyone tell you to be realistic in both of those too, right? Write things that you can't imagine, you can't dare happening to you, and write things that you would be shocked if they did happen to you. Those two things, if you read them every single morning, will get you into the frame, get you into the identity, the mindset of the person you've always wanted to become. And now the only action remains, or not the only action, the only action remains is your desires. Your desires are a direct reflection of your identity. So once you've solved that, guess what? You will now have actions that you take every single day that compound over months, years. And now you're just waiting for reality to reflect. Oh my God, I'm getting a call. Reality is basically going to give it to you. It's just a matter of time. That's it, guys. That's it. But it all stems from you. That's the best piece of advice I can give you before you go and improve your physical health, your social health, before you do anything, bro. Anything. Getting better grades, going to ask that girl out, applying for a new promotion at work, fucking proposing to your wife. I don't know, bro. Like anything. If your mindset is not in the person who does all of those things, who is living up to those standards, ambitions, whatever, it's never going to work. Or it might work for a little bit and it'll come crashing down because you never established the foundation, aka your mindset. That's all I wanted to say today. I'm at like 10% now, so I got to cut this short. I have to edit this. But if you like what you hear, you want to work with me one-to-one, I have a coaching link in my description. I love to work with guys who are ambitious, who follow through on what they say, who are committed to following a proven system around their nutrition, their lifestyle, their training, and other customizations to help improve their health. And most importantly, shape their identity. If that sounds good to you, I have a link in my description. Book a call with me. We'll see if you're a good fit. If you like what you hear, we'll move forward. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.